Hello, hello. This is Lisa Nickel, host of the Sacred and Rooted podcast. Welcome, welcome. Happy New Year. Happy, I think, Chinese New Year too. Maybe it's coming up. Oh, I think it's coming up in a couple days. In the new moon, the first new moon of the year, I think. Year of the Snake. I think I'm a horse in Chinese astrology, so I don't actually know how that works for me, but I'll have to research that later. But anyways, in general, Happy New Year, happy fresh startish. Um, I always feel like it's the new year for me because it's my birthday month is January, so it feels like the whole thing. It coincides nicely, let me say, with kind of hopes and goals for the future, for the next year, for whatever. I am not sure how I would feel about the new year if my birthday was in July, but for me it works. Um, this episode, I wanted to, kick off the new year with an episode on post-traumatic growth, because, we are going through as humanity, as a world, we are going through some big changes, and I think there are going to be great changes in the long run. But sometimes day to day, it's a little freaking dodgy, and I'm not exactly sure which way it's going. It certainly isn't a linear line. So we just want to set ourselves up for success because why not, right? If we're going to have to go shoot through a shitty time, we want to be, pretty sure that we're going to get to the other end and not, have growth, have optimism, have feel like we've learned through the experience, feel like we're wiser, feel like we can get on with our lives and it doesn't have to drag us down forever. So, the American Psychological Association brings it down to five things. And I'm sure these are just like the introductory five things. There's probably endless things, but it's a podcast. So here we are with five. Um, these are five things that you can do as you're going through whatever you're going through, good, bad, and ugly, um, to ensure or tip the scales in your favor that on the other side of your high stress period, you will experience post traumatic growth. And so the whole list, just briefly, is one, appreciation of life, two, relationship with others, three, new possibilities, four, personal strength, and five, spiritual change. And so let's dig in. So, number one, appreciation of life. What the heck does that actually mean? Gratitude, to put it simply. And I know that gets overused by a mile. Um, But gratitude basically is what it is. Gratitude for waking up today and being alive, knowing that every one of us is going to die at some point. We just have no freaking idea when. There's a book I read recently, and it was um, just fantastic as far as the perspective of death and the fact that nobody gets out of here without dying. And so, why as a society do we, kind of try and medicalize and just manage death to the point where it's almost become like not a spiritual experience anymore? And as we know, the cycle of life includes death. And so, it's just as important as like birth. It's just a whole part of the whole thing. We don't want to glaze over it. Um, And it's also the way you finish. It's like your grand finale. And so there was this whole book is about just how to, take death as just another phase, and not that, nothing, it's not that we don't have, our soul is sort of eternal, but our physical body and our soul in this incarnation is coming to a close. And so gratitude. The other thing that the book that I thought did brilliantly was reconcile the fact that the way to really infuse gratitude in your life is with the knowledge that it is not here forever. And so when we as a society are thinking about, we're going to live forever, we're going to live forever, death, whatever, just race through that part or drug ourselves to death through that part, um, we we discount the depth of living that we can experience when we truly understand that this is not forever, this life, and why not cherish it like the friggin' treasure it is? And so that gratitude, and I find myself the older I get, this started happening probably around 40, um, where it's sort of my perspective shifted. Like I was no longer the younger person who was like coming up in the company. I was no longer the youngest cousin or like the youngest generation of cousins in the family. Like things you could see the transition of life going to kind of like the middle phase, if you want to say. And then even my kids, they're getting older, and so it's like, oh my goodness, this is not lasting forever. They're not going to live at home forever, which, like, thank God, that's totally fine. Um, but it's also sad. That's in a very deep way. But also, of course, they're leaving. Like, that's what they're supposed to do. And so, to just, when we take that in as our whole life, when we know that we are going to die at some point. And so, to just really drink in and savor and treasure the moments as they come and when the good stuff is happening. The good stuff, newsflash, can happen in the midst of a whole big shitstorm. But to really notice that and to just be like, oh, nice. Okay. And there's been some deaths in the community that have been sudden and younger people. And it's just really highlighted that seriously, we just have no clue when our card's up. And in the meantime, how can you make the most out of your life? And one super simple way is to just really cherish the moments that bring you joy. And hopefully they're longer than just moments, but to really like just allow yourself to feel that like pleasure, that love, that happiness, and let it kind of marinate through your system, and so that it's like a deep reverence for life. And then when you are on your dying day or deathbed or whatever you want to think of it as, you can sit there and just be like, yeah, like, poof into a bunch of stardust because you have been here and you have like friggin' gone on all the friggin' adventures. You've tried all the rides, you've whatever, you've lived it up to the width and the depth and the breadth in every different direction. You haven't just kind of walked through it like a zombie. And so I think that is this number one, point here, or way to ensure post-traumatic growth and just any growth in general, is appreciation of life. It's a gift. You have it, I have it, whoever has it, and like thank God we're like, isn't it beautiful that we get to experience, even simple things like sharing a dinner together, having a phone call, whatever, sharing a laugh, anything. It doesn't have to be extravagant, cost money or anything. Basically, actually, the better stuff doesn't cost anything. And so to allow yourself to be open to that appreciation and that gratitude, even if you have a whole bunch of other things on your list where you're like, good God, could these like stop happening? I'm kind of done with dealing with this shit and this other shit and that other shit. So, like, it can all be together. Life is not like a one-dimensional, only feel one feeling at a time kind of experience. And so, not to shut the appreciation and the gratitude down just because you also have this big pile of mud to walk through. All right. So that's one way. Number two, the second way to experience post traumatic growth after a period of high stress is the quality of relationships with others. So, when you're going through a period of high stress, I mean, I do this for sure. My first instinct is to shut down and just deal with the stress and get through it and do it and like basically like box my life off and just deal with it. However, I am recovering from that because it doesn't actually work very well when your period of stress is longer than like, I don't even know, a few weeks. After that, people are wondering, what the hell, where are you? Um, and the thing is, people want to help you. There's a beautiful video. I think his name is Simon Sinek, something like that. He's just got a really neat mind, and he's somewhere on the internet on a video explaining that he called, some really good friend of his up, and she was saying how, she had really, he's like, "How's it going? What's up?" She's like, "Hey, I've been going through this really, really hard time. Like, it was the worst." And his first reaction to her was, "Why didn't you call me?" And she's like, "Well, I didn't want to bother you. I just figured I'd deal with it myself. I didn't want to impose, all the things that we all think. Like, it'd be such a hassle to deal, we don't want to put extra things on our friends or our family. We can deal with it ourselves." And he's basically was like, "Dude, you call me. Like, I'm your friend. It is a friggin' honor and a pleasure for me to be able to help you in your time of, when you're having a struggling time. I want to help." And so it's just, the way he spoke it was just so clear and so obvious, but it's also like we all do it where, we just like head down, get it done. Or deal with it quietly because, like, everyone else is probably having a great time and we don't want to drag everyone else down or whatever the situation, whatever reasons you have. Um, they're fine. Like, they're your feelings, they're your reasons. But keep in mind that as a humans, like, we're so interwoven with each other. We cannot survive by ourselves. And so to get into the habit and the routine of building community. And part of building community is not only being there for others, but also receiving from others and allowing others to help you when you need help. And so when we're going through a period of high stress, we want to reach out to others. We want to tell people that it's not even reaching out to be like, "Hi, I need this, hi, I need that." It's almost just like listening sometimes is just amazing. And so, just be honest with people that, yeah, right now it's like this is freaking tough. And, it's been a while and it's just never ending or whatever it is that you're going through, speak about it. Tell people that you care about, that, that are your close friends. Obviously, you're not going to go to work and tell, some junior staff member all of your life problems, but like the people that are your friends, the people that you've been through a lot of things with, your family, talk to them, let them know. And just having the ear from others helps you like filter it through, helps you integrate it, helps you come up with new ideas, infuses you with energy. It's a really beautiful thing that really isn't a huge hardship for anybody on the other end of the line. All they're doing is listening. They don't even have to solve problems because, unless you're asking. But a lot of times just listening and being witnessed is like so, so valuable to each of us. So, yes, that's one thing. Relationship with others can also mean in your community. And so I know, my parents used to tell us this I've done it when I'm going through a hard time, and it is lovely. Like volunteering when you don't think that you have anything to offer, or you're going through such a hard time and you're just kind of getting beat down, beat down, beat down, and just sort of feeling like, well, nothing, nothing good's happening. What is going on? A one way to kind of come out of that is to help somebody else. And so it doesn't need to be an official volunteer association or anything like that. It could be just like help your neighbor shovel his driveway, help somebody, an elderly person take in their groceries, take out the trash, whatever. Help a little child at the park if they need to push on the swing. It could be lots of things. And it just is like a little mini boost of, like I was there for somebody and that helped them have a better quality of their life, their experience in that moment, whatever it is. You could certainly volunteer for, at an association and do it regularly. Um, it definitely gives you a different perspective. I know one of my daughters, she volunteers at um, what do you call it? I can't think of the name. At like a community cupboard. I can't remember the actual name of it, but it's like it's like a food, it's I think they call it a community cupboard, and it's just some place where you can get groceries for free. You can sign up and you can go kind of once a month and get like an extra bunch of groceries that you don't have to worry about if you need to. And she volunteers there. The high school requires them to have so many volunteer hours, and that's one of the places she decided to do it at. And she has these little stories all the time when she comes back where it's like, where she's observing, like, the types of people that come in here, how, what leads people to need to have free groceries, and how the government might, like, she has these really good questions on, like, how the immigration works, how government works, how social services work, and so you can see that she's putting together the world, like how does the world currently operate and how does it not work for these people? And or is this actually working and this is a success, but it feels like the demand is so high that there needs to be more to it than before you actually consider it a success of any kind. Um But it helps, and she always feels better when she comes back than before she leaves. When it's like, "Oh, I have other things to do," but once you're there, it's like, "Okay, yeah, this is good. I'm, like, really helping people, like, get helping them get through this, and it feels good, and they have a better experience there because there's people there to help them." Um, the other thing for this one, like your relationships with others, I said it earlier, but just to highlight that maybe the tendency sometimes is to pretend or put on the facade that everything's okay. And most of the people maybe you come across during the day, they ask you how you're doing, and you're probably not gonna stop and like have a 10-minute conversation about really how it's going. But if you get to a point where there's someone asking you that and they're an old friend, they're a good friend, they're family, whatever it is, take a few minutes and just say, like, it's not going so great right now, like it's this or that, whatever the situation is. And just to like not feel like you're hiding it or that you're in it alone. It really does help to have people that to share the load to, and then to have them listen to you and to really get that community, that love, that interaction, that connection, really is a boost to your system and to theirs as well. And I think I actually posted on Instagram today, um, on my stories. There was a study done where they had, I don't know what year it was. It was a pretty old video, so it was probably 80s or 90s or something. But they had studied acts of kindness, and they had, I don't even know what the literal act of kindness was, but they had the person receiving the kindness had a boost of dopamine, and dopamine improves your immunity and improves your mood. The person giving the kindness had the dopamine hit as well, improved their mood, improved their immunity, and the person watching the interaction had the exact same increase, boost in mood, boost in immunity. And so being in that energy field is not inconsequential. I just want to put that out there. The more we can spread that energy around the planet, you do not want to underestimate how impactful that would be on the world and what we're trying to move towards, which I think, in a very general sense, would be peace, sustainability, and humaneness, just like decentness, decency. So, so there you have it. Not only does it impact you as the person who's going through the hard time, giving, receiving, the two people that are giving and receiving, but the people that are actually around them. That's incredible. Like, I mean, I'm not surprised. I just want to make sure everyone's aware of that. So, number 3. So we've gone through number 1, appreciation for life. Number 2, relationships with others. Number 3, new possibilities in life. And so this one's interesting in the sense that we need to remain open to the good in life. We need to remain open for possibilities and opportunities. And just because one area or one part of our life is going down the shitter right now does not mean that all possibilities are off the table. And so when I have a magnet on my fridge, I think it's Emily Dickinson who says, dwell on possibilities. Like, there is literally infinite possibilities for anything. And so this is something I remind myself routinely when I get into like a rut with my mind, where I'm just like slogging and nagging myself to death as far as, why won't this ever change? Why is this happening to me again? Blah, 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 blah. And so to just like exercise our muscle of possibilities, where we remind ourselves and our ego nagging voice in our head that just because one thing isn't working doesn't mean nothing else will work. And you are available. I literally wake up and at some point in the morning, I have it on my phone right now, a whole bunch of different notifications, like one an hour, little mantras, so that every day I read them. And one is like, I am open to any and all possibilities this life has to offer. And so it's just a reminder that even if it feels like you're in a tunnel, even if you have no idea how how this is really going to work out, it doesn't mean it's not going to. In fact, it will. It's just a matter of time. Sometimes it takes a while. You have to walk kind of all the way in and really just be in the dark for a period of time, and then you can start things start to kind of come together. But to always be open to it. There's so many people that get over involved in the situation in their life that is not working, and they don't see the rest of their life and how great it is and what they do have, and what you know to kind of, it's almost like if you're going through a storm, when you're in a rainstorm and you got your umbrella and your coat and you're just like your bag, you're like really tight and kind of trying to be dry while you're walking through this like driving rainstorm. And you won't see like any of the stores you're walking by, you won't see any cars you're walking by, you won't see any people you're walking by. All you're literally looking at is like your feet walking down the street, and you kind of probably know where, you think you know where you're going. So you're just kind of like walking straight ahead, and you're like, okay, I'll get there as fast as I can. and all the opportunity, all the help, all the beauty, all of whatever you're missing. And so to use that as an analogy, I guess, to, when you notice or catch yourself just kind of whirling and whirling, go take a walk. Go listen to some music that lights you up. Give yourself sort of like a reinfusion of some beauty and pleasure. You know, hug your husband or wife or hug a good friend, family, whatever. Hang out with your kids and have a good laugh. Like just do things like that where you can start to be like, okay, yep, this is coming. This will figure itself out one way or the other. I always get through things, right? But to not close yourself off to the possibilities and to know that there's always more than one or two options to everything. So if you've only come up with a few options for how you might solve the situation or how it might turn out, you can be rest assured that you do not even have close to most of them. And so to stay open for the surprises, like, a friend or a mentor might be like, "Oh yeah, you could try this or you could do that." And you could take it in and actually kind of play with it and be like, "Yeah, actually that could work." But whereas if you're not open and your mind is like, "Nope, there's no other options," then you are just not going to hear it. You're not going to take it in. You're not going to actually try it on and see where it can go. So that is number 3. Be open to new possibilities, even if it's pouring rain, even if it's thundering, there's still there could be a crack of sun over on this one other side. You never know unless you're looking. All right, so number 4, personal strength. Now, I have not met a single person who, went through some kind of crisis in their life, multiple maybe, depending on who you are, who didn't start, had the thing happen and their first weeks of it are just like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't know how I'm gonna get through it. I don't know how, I don't know how any of this is gonna ever come back together again. And that's a perfectly healthy, reasonable thing to think, first off. Second off, though, is we also, as time goes by, we have to allow ourselves to look back and say to ourselves, hey, you're actually doing it, you know? We do not give ourselves anywhere near enough encouragement or, pats on the back or anything. We just sit there and doubt ourselves the whole way through and then don't even, give ourselves a high five at the end of it. We're like, right on, we got through that. Um, and so if you're going to have the perfectly normal response to something that you don't actually want to have happen, which is like, "Oh shit, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Like, what the hell? I can't deal with this right now. I can't, I don't, how am I gonna do this?" That's perfectly normal, but also allow yourself after some time, even if you don't actually, you could still be in the middle of it, and you can still pat yourself on the back and say, good job, Lise. It's been 6 months of this bullshit or this crap or whatever the situation is, and I'm still here. I'm still, getting up every day. I'm still doing my thing. I'm not exactly sure how this is all going to turn out, but I'm still in the game. I'm still here. I'm still available for opportunities. I'm still, you know, trying to figure out how I'm going to get through this and trying different things and seeing what works. And so, congratulations to me and to you and to everybody. We need to give ourselves that reflection where it's because some stuff takes years to get through. And so you can't go for years without recognizing that you're actually moving through it. You're doing it. Even if day to day you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but you're doing it. Whatever it is, you're moving through it. And so take a minute, have a tea, just in gratitude. All right, I've made it a month through this whatever. I've made it 3 months through this. I've made it a year through this. And I'm here. I'm still, I've got some laughter. I've got some fun. It is hard, but I am moving through it. And so that we just need to prioritize more because we really, as humans, we don't give ourselves enough credit as we're moving. Like everything feels like it's not finished or it's not a success unless it's like tied up in a bow, nice and tidy, everything's perfect, whatever, done. Success, check the box. But it's like the process or the journey of the whole thing needs to be acknowledged as a success. Recently, there was a longtime coworker of mine, he's a good friend, going through a hard time, and you know, he went through all these phases where it was like, I don't know, every single different thing was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Now I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this. Like he was super textbook on like just the cycle of going through a really difficult time. And I was his cheerleader in the sense that he didn't seem to be able to give that to himself, but I was able to give it to him and to reinforce, like, you have got this. You've already gone this far. You're figuring out day to day. You will get to the other end. And to have patience, please have patience. Have patience with yourself. And there is that old saying where it's like, treat yourself like you would your best friend. And so use that as an example. If you are not sure what to say to yourself, think, what would I say to my best friend? And then literally turn it back onto yourself. And so that personal strength, as you reflect, you it becomes apparent that you are stronger than you think. And you're able to do things that you didn't even know you could do, or that you didn't think you had time to do, or that it was like not even in your realm of possibilities before. And now look at you. Like you've learned new skills, you've figured shit out, you're handling it. And so you're stronger than you think. And when you need to just get through something, that's strength. And the fact that you've done it before is really comforting to know that if you've done it before, you can do it again. And it's not that the next time you have a crisis or something terrible happens, that you're going to know all the answers, but you just know that you'll be able to step by step, day by day, move through it. And you will come out the other end and life goes on. All right. And so 5, the last way to ensure that you experience post-traumatic growth after a period of high stress is spiritual change. And so this one, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but this is, I think, a really important one in our society these days where a lot of society is, I think our depth as energetic spiritual humans or entities, like it is not um, highlighted in the way it needs to be or prioritized in the way it needs to be. We do a lot of things in our society just because we've always done them, or because we should, or because we have to, or because, you know, whatever. Society tells us we need to, or our families tell us we need to, or what have you. And so we are not raised to like direct our life path from our internal compass. We are trained from a young age to, here's what our parents are telling us we should do, here's what society is telling us we should do, go do that. And hopefully you can fit into this nice box while you're doing it. So spiritual change it's inevitable anytime you go through something that flips your life upside down, you're going to grow. You're going to have a deeper appreciation for the joys, the pleasures in your life, the beauty in your life. Because when it's less, in your life and when you're dealing with a lot of shit, you appreciate and your appreciation for life, your appreciation for the ease of life when it is easy is so much deeper and richer. It's like the contrast is the gift. And so, and you also know that in some way, like some, gnosis kind of way in your being, like energetically, that you couldn't have probably gotten through that without more like help that's bigger than yourself, or a faith that's bigger than yourself, however you want to call that, however you want to position it, that there's more to this experience of life than just the 3D reality. And so that is comforting. It's it's also just like another layer of life that maybe you didn't explore before, because when everything's floating along and going tickety boo and anything that goes wrong you're putting under a rug, it's easy to just, be in the 3D world and like la la la. But once you kind of get faced with something where your historical perspective on how life works is like challenged and kind of like crumpled into a thousand pieces, and you have to kind of reorient yourself, you spiritually change, you grow, you deepen, you potentially get closer to your soul, your timelessness, your inner wisdom, whatever, however you want to, whatever you want to call it. Um, and and then what is the higher power? Like, what is, whether it's Mother Earth, Mother Nature, God, Goddess, universe, source, spirit, whatever it is for you, it is something that is like a deeper, or just like love in a completely energetic general sense. Um like we all This is the deepening. Like this is a gift in the end of all the hard, like any hardship is just a reverence for life as a marathon of adventure. And there's some really great adventures that are just fun and joyful and everything. The learning, the like pressure that cooks you into that fine diamond is not always, is never almost enjoyable. It's just, it's a slog, and it sucks. And but it's like there's so many little bits of wisdom, little ways that you'll do your life later that you weren't doing it like that before. Like there's so much that comes up through that spiritual change, that when you do come out the other end of something that's high stress, you are different. You are different. And I'm not saying like, the crux of who you are as a person, as a soul is different at all, but the way that you express yourself, the way that you present yourself, your authenticity is usually much, much truer and aligned with your inner world. And what are you doing here? What's your purpose? What is your contribution to this world? And typically that gets clearer for people as they move through a time where they have to kind of question everything, because stuff is flipping up and upside down. And so it's like, well, what? How do I put this back together? And the second question is, what do I want it to look like when I'm putting it back together? Like maybe should I recreate this in a different way, or should I put it back the same way? All these really good questions, these soul searching questions. This is why a high stress period is painful, because you have to change, and we hate change. We hate change, even if we know on a like esoteric, I don't even know if that's the right word I'm looking for, but like we know on a mental level that of course change is good in the long run, da 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 da. But um yeah, going through it is a hassle because we have to change. We can't just keep doing the same thing the next that we did last week. Anyway, I'm off on a tangent. So those are it. The 5 ways to experience post-traumatic growth after a period of high stress are appreciation of life, number 1. Number 2, your relationships with others. 3, new possibilities in life. Look for them. Keep your eyes peeled. 4, your personal strength. You are friggin' stronger than you could ever imagine. And to look for that, to give yourself credit when credit's due. And 5, spiritual change. Don't be scared of, going deeper. Don't be scared of looking at the hard, dark spots in the corners of your boxes or under the rugs. Like, just freaking clear it. Just see, what the hell am I dealing with here? Who am I and what are my shadows? What's my light? I'm here for the whole experience, not just the cute parts. And that is how, that is the richness of life, right? It's to experience all of that. And to then also at some point down the road, probably not immediately, be grateful for the friggin' process, the journey, even the highs and the lows, the bad and the ugly. So with that, before I forget, before I sign off, I just wanted to let you know that over the break, I did put together a reading list. I'm calling it a sacred reading list because it's a list of books that I have read in the past, and some, like a few of them I've read numerous times or use as reference books when some particular thing or another is happening. And so I thought I'd put the list together for you to share with you. And I love reading. Maybe you love reading. Let me know if you have other books that you think should be on the list, and I'd love to add them to it. And if I haven't read the book, I'll put it, I love reading, so there's no shortage of books. When I was younger, I used to actually have nightmares about somehow me reading all the books in the world and not having any more new books to read. And yeah, I was young. I'm like, now that just would not be, that's never going to happen. Anyways, but yes, I hope it inspires you. I hope you find some solace, some comfort, some inspiration in the books on that list, some mindset shifts, maybe, whatever it is. I hope it helps. And definitely get in touch with me if you have books that you want to see on the list, because I'd love to have, new reading recommendations, and it's always good to know what else is out there. So yeah, you can go to the link on my website. My website is Lisa Nicol, all one word, .ca/ capital R reading list, capital L, capital R, all one word. I'll put the link in the show notes to this podcast. And so you can click there too if you want. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.